Sorry, Taco Bell. Welcome to Tales Tomorrow. I am Morrow, your storyteller for today, and with me I have some more RPG horror stories. I was feeling super tired after the whole computer and the hospital thing. Mom is doing great. Thank you so much for checking in on her and wishing her all the best. Feeling actually kind of good just getting back into the normal things. I feel tired as hell, but it's been nice to be able to come back and start doing this regularly again. Anyway, without further ado, let's get to the very first RPG horror story for today. DM straight up kills my character with zero warning. A while back I was playing in a game of City of Mist, where we were basically private detectives hired to solve a series of murders in a Neo-Tokyo-like setting riddled with gangs. I designed my character originally as an office worker who got caught up in the middle of a gang fight at a bar, but instead after dying she got caught into an indefinite repeating time loop. From that she became a master swordsman, killing the Yakuza over and over again until she broke out. My mythos revolved around this, but acted as a single repeat that I initiated for small duration. Needless to say, she despised gangs and was set on destroying them. This was unfortunate because we almost immediately had to start working with the gang, though my character restrained herself as she knew they had information she needed. I was resolved that after they'd given everything she needed, they were next on her list. Several sessions later, and it finally time, we had gotten everything we needed from this gang, and I was ready to slay them. So I waited one of the hideouts until it was full, using my singular time loop ability to check to see if I can do this. DM seems all good with this and describes my success in the loop after some good rolls. And then I go for it, knowing things may not end well if I roll badly. But it's okay. I roll success and advantage. Best roll achievable. DM starts describing how I start cutting them down and then ask me a single question. Do you take particular care to avoid civilians? I respond with basically, if they're going to impede me from slaying the gang, then no. So he goes and describes the rest of the scene out. I'm absolutely loving it. And then at the end, once I've slayed everyone, someone in their dying breath shoots me with a gun. Ask if I can do anything about it. DM goes, no. You die. Wait, like that? I mean, I don't know if this system has like a death save or anything, but would you want to check with a player or, give him the classic, are you sure you want to do this? Gotta hit him with the classic, right? Or maybe one of the rolls was low or something, or maybe there was like a hidden roll. I mean, there gotta be an explanation for this, right? The DM is not setting up the player for no reason, right? I'll go dead silent. Not sure what to think. My cool moment is kind of ruined now, and I feel immediately uninterested in what's happening. Ask why, but he just responds with, I don't allow evil characters, which didn't make any sense. Wait, hold on, what? Not only did he never suggest that this was the case before, but my character is not evil. She had been absolutely traumatized by dying over and over to the gangs. Her goal was to rid the disease that was the Yakuza from the face of the earth. My DM knew that well. If a couple of citizens were in the way, or all she'd think that it was their fault for being associated with the Yakuza, I thought her doing this was completely justified, at least for her. I smell some sort of a gotcha coming on. I smell like a gotcha, like the DM pulls, oh, the little daughter of the Yakuza leader got in the way and she said, stop, don't kill daddy, and then you killed her with cold blood, you evil monster, when the player never agreed to killing children or something. I'm calling this is going to be a gotcha moment. But anyway, he asked if my character would have done something differently. I say no, because she wouldn't have let the gang alive any longer. DM suggested I could make a new character, but I just refuse. Call it mid-session. I didn't feel like making another character and I was pretty bummed out, to be honest. I wouldn't even been close to upset if I just rolled bad and died because of it. It was risky taking on a whole gang by myself, but I knew my character had to go through with it. But I rolled well and died anyway, despite zero warnings from the DM this would happen. I feel like things should have gone differently, but whatever. Done is done. I understand you're really disheartened right now, but I'm dissatisfied. What does the DM mean by I don't allow evil characters? Killing the Yakuza is kind of evil, sure, I can understand that. Murder is evil, understandably so. But I mean, I don't think the players said, I want to kill everybody, including the civilians. They just said that, yeah, if a civilian gets in the way, they'll probably go ballistic and stuff. You should have probably checked with them ahead of time. Maybe give them some sort of a heads up warning that maybe this could have critical consequences or something. No, the DM just chose, hey, you just get shot after this whole cool moment and you're dead now because apparently you're evil now. If you're going after the Yakuza and you've had dealings with the Yakuza as your nemesis, and the Yakuza are involved in crime and shady things and illegal things, and your character has a vendetta against them, maybe it's just me. Maybe I just don't see the evilness behind it, but it just feels very like shades of gray. And because of its shades of gray, it's really hard to tell if it's evil but not evil, because maybe it's like a necessary evil, or if it's evil for the sake of good. It's a shades of gray, it's a shades of good and evil instead of just being straight up evil. I feel like the DM pulled some sort of a stupid gotcha in just to get the player killed because they just didn't like the decision. Maybe the DM should have done like a play-by-play where it's like, you go to this room, how many do you attack, who do you attack? Maybe they had a moment instead of just saying, okay, you just die to some random goon that's on the ground and stuff and you get shot. Feels like some sort of a gotcha been pulled, and I'm not satisfied with this one bit. Edit. We end up retconning the whole thing, saying that I was in a time loop all along, and that no matter what I did to slay the gang, I died. So I wouldn't try it again? And we then continued the game from the week after. I was still upset about the whole ordeal, but whatever. The game other than that was actually really fun, and I'm glad I stayed till the end. Still annoys me a little bit thinking about what happened though. Edit 2. It's not like my character was hunting for civilians or anything. She had no interest in killing innocents, so would actively avoid it. It was more I thought that hesitation in a house full of enemies would mean death. I feel like the whole thing was just a bit of miscommunication anyway, but yeah. Yeah, I agree actually. I feel like the DM should have communicated with you, should have talked with you, should have discussed with you, seeing what your character wants to do. Maybe even allow you to have like a unique session where you have the play-by-play of what's going on. You go to the first room, there are 3 or 4 Yakuza there, a random family member or something doesn't seem to be armed. What do you do? Make it more dramatic instead of just being like, okay, you dead now. Because that's unsatisfying as all hell. I hate gotchas. I hate when it comes to gotchas or DMs pulling some sort of a gotcha, you screwed up and now you pay the consequences before you even knew what's going on. Anyway, I'm getting heated. Let's get to the next story. The party has 10 neurons and are all on the rogue. This story serves as a proof that no matter how long your players have been alive, they can very much kill themselves in the span of 5 minutes, completely derailing years of campaign. We have 5 players, a sorcerer, a mage, both with counterspell and dispel magic, a barbarian, a fighter, and a rogue. They're at the end of a campaign, finally going to the BBEG's castle in the sky. Their objective there is to collect the final part of the 3-part weapon that the BBEG also wants. The rogue was unable to attend the session, regretfully. The parts bind to your soul, and the players know for a fact the BBEG was guiding them through the shadows, as they cannot leave their castle. They know that by keeping the final part there, the BBG plans to make the player invade, to kill them and take the parts. Their invasion begins with them immediately invading by teleport without a long rest, in spite of recommendations. That is a party that shouts long rest after taking a single hit of damage. When getting there, they are approached by shadows, a barely harmful set of corrupted souls that cause 1 damage on contact and die, and have 4 health. Upon killing or being touched, the shadows give a bit of a lore and tips on how to navigate the castle. That is important as it is, or would be, the only way for the player getting information from the castle's workings. That should have been a problem, as players are the usual murder hobos, make you bleed first, ask questions if they survive. But for some magical reason they decided to not touch the shadows, having to be attacked to learn anything about that place. But that was okay, they could have navigated blindly as if it was not a labyrinth. But they not only not interact with the shadows, they decided to run out of the initial room that were teleported in, where the shadows spawned, without a care. So the shadows continued spawning. By the time they were on their 3rd room, there were about 30 of them. Mind you, a single fireball or AoE spell that caused at least 4 damage would wipe them, and give a ridiculous amount of info by that point. I'm gonna assume the players maybe thought the shadows were super powerful because it was the BBG's castle and stuff, and maybe they were like, listen, let's not mess with them, they're slow enough as it is, let's not waste our time. Maybe they're just being resourceful and tactical. There they have 5-minute long discussion whether or not to finally have their long rest in a lobby in the middle of the BBG's castle. Yes, I continued. I let them took a bathroom break because I was sure they were mainly joking. No one would decide to take 8 hours of sleep in the middle of a villain's base, right? Anyway, the shadows were coming, so they decided to continue exploring, ignoring them. From the lobby, there were 3 corridors and a mysterious sign that appeared out of nowhere, telling the players to go right. The players, who had never at any point in the story trusted a mysterious sign, decided to follow it this time. It was a trap. The path explodes, they take a little bit of damage, but nothing that threatening. Now, in my mind, and correct me if I'm wrong, when a sign mysteriously appears telling you to go somewhere, it means that someone knows you're there, right? Not to them, it doesn't. Yeah, the players have a pretty weak gamer sense. Like, I mean, imagine you're playing a video game and you see that. My intention would just be go right. Even if I'm not going through like a labyrinth and a tunnel and arrow points one way. Nope, I'm going the other way. I don't care what happens. I could get screwed over, but I don't trust it. I don't trust anything I see. That's the gamer sense. The players then try the left path, which eventually leads them back. The only path left is forward. They go for it, and barrier starts to form in front of them, trapping them in a lobby with the shadows approaching. It was not a prismatic wall, mind you. Also, not a wall of force. It was simply a barrier that narratively was the way of the BBEG to mess with them, because they are a trickster, which the player know, and like him for it. So the players had few options. They could finally decide to kill the shadows, they could dispel the barrier, they could take the same amount of time they took deciding whether or not to sleep to plan something. Yet they saw a hole in the middle of the lobby. In a span of 10 seconds, or 4 players decided to jump on it. The players decided to jump into a hole in a castle on the sky without checking if they had any way to not splatter themselves on the ground below. Fortunately, the mage had featherfall, so they didn't die, and ended up at the starting point where they teleported from. I mean, good thing they had somebody ready with featherfall, but like, when it comes to putting players in a position of puzzles, as a player myself as well, we overthink way too hard and way too much about the simplest of things. A lot of the puzzles were solved through simple means, but I tend to overthink about everything. And sometimes I overcomplicate things for my own reasons completely. I can't blame these players for overthinking this too. They were just thinking like, okay, so this is a BBEG place. What should we do? Let's not trust our senses immediately. Maybe we should do this or that. Or actually, no, I mean, they did follow the sign. I don't know what they're going for, honestly. I think they just went, oh, opening, hole, jump in, quick, don't think about it. So in a player's mind, they barely survived death, heroically escaped from the BBG's trap and devious plans that were not safe and sound on the ground, far from BBG's reach. The shadows also go through the hole and fall to the ground, reshaping harmlessly near them. There's an NPC, the one that teleported the party, and the group with them, and upon seeing the shadows, they try to cast a protective barrier on the players. At that point, our sorcerer decides it is finally time to dispel something. The very barrier protecting them. Why? Do they think that the NPC is trying to cause some sort of a problem because it's another barrier or something? What? Then he immediately threatens the NPC to teleport them back in, to the place where they allegedly almost died at. And with that, they go back to the castle, where now, having lost the initial element of surprise, the trickster BBEG waits for them. After all that, I told him I'm rushing the campaign to end it faster, putting unfair enemies and unbalanced encounters against them, just to prove I'd kill them if I wanted. What was initially a long but funny story developed into a serious discussion about how I'm apparently not being clear enough with my instructions, because I want to see them fail to prove I can do what I want or whatever. I'm not really sure how next session is going to go, but hopefully with the players convinced the BBG's right hand, that is not loyal in the slightest and didn't know it, to betray him, or fleeing again to plan rationally, but considering our sorcerer just challenged him to a fight, there's a possibility they'll antagonize the only possible ally they have left and die. I'm just gonna assume that because the rogue was mentioned in the title, they're probably the plans and the brains behind this whole group. Maybe there's lack of clarity, or maybe these guys are just overthinking too much. I feel like you need to encourage your players to roll these things, the skills that we have, in order to figure out, can they get past this, can they get past that, is this completely impenetrable, is this the only way out, can you hear this, can you hear that, how far away is this and that, you know? Maybe they relied on the rogue to do everything for them and now they can't? I have no idea. There were some people asking questions on a post originally, and there were some very important things I found here that I feel like we should read through. Did they explain why they began acting out of character in every way that mattered? Yes, I've made an FAQ for this situation. Why'd you jump into the unknown hole in the middle of a cloud? It was the only thing that made sense. Why'd you not rest before going in? We thought we could handle it. But a long rest would literally take 10 seconds to get you back on track. Yeah, but we thought we could handle it. Why didn't you deal with the shadows? They were slow, so we thought we could clear the castle before they reached us. Why didn't you try to do anything with the barrier? We thought the hole was the puzzle answer. It was not the puzzle. Why did you go back? Well, we're on a Sky Island arc, so narratively we should be on a Sky Island. Yeah, okay, never mind. I think this party just needs the rogue. The rest of the party is like every other part of an important cohesive group, and I guess the rogue is the brains. Maybe the rogue is the glue that keeps the party together, and one session without a rogue just absolutely turned into a mess or something. I have no idea. Either way, hilarious story, very wholesome, but yeah, you should probably tell your players to use them skills more often. And with that, that's gonna be all our stories for today. I want to thank you very much for watching, and thanks so much for being here. If you like what I do, consider subscribing to the channel and leaving a like. Also, if the RPG Horror Stories ever goes down, or if you want to submit your own personalized horror story, email is down in the description below. I'll see you again in more Tales Tomorrow. Bye-bye.